Hey everyone, Carey Hodsden again, PGA over at X Golf Chesapeake. Some of you may have seen a short lesson that I gave regarding using your 6-iron or your 5-iron as a putter when you're off the green on tight lies like dormant Bermuda or real tight lies on bent grass or whatever have you, where it's really difficult to pitch, okay? Now some of you will say, well heck, I'd rather pitch the ball with a wedge and I'd rather do some type of bump and run or loft the ball up onto the green because I want to make sure, okay, that I get it up on the green and then I have a chance to make the next putt. Now, more risky than the 6-iron putt that you may have seen another lesson about, a 6 or a 5-iron putt, or even using your putter or your hybrid to try to get the ball up on the green, which is going to be more consistent most of the time for most of us. But having said that, you can hit crisp chips every single time with good technique. Now, how do you do it? That's the big question. It's no different really than the full swing, than the release in the full swing. You need to be able to make sure that that club comes into the ball the way the club is designed and the way the club uses its bounce on the bottom of the club and the leading edge. You need to come into that ball the way the club manufacturers design the club, and you need to trust it, okay? Now, how do you get it to come into there squarely and not dig or not blade? You need to get to a point of extension, just like you do in your full swing, okay? You must get to that point of extension through impact, otherwise you're gonna have a horrible time with pitching the golf ball. Now look, when I talk about a point of extension, what I mean is that your arms and your hands at the bottom of the golf swing, right when you're making contact with the ball, are completely extended, okay? How do you do that? Well, there's a couple things you got to do in the backswing, a couple things you got to do in the through swing to get there, and you have to allow your weight to shift a little bit, and you have to kind of turn over one pillar. These are all lessons and all different things that I'll talk about at other times. But right now, what I want you to understand is how your hands work. Because how your hands work with your wrists and your forearm are the most important thing when you're pitching, okay? On your full swing, I talked about rotating your forearms so that your left forearm kind of gets over your right forearm and your right elbow, okay? So that when you get back here, you kind of have this look, it's almost like a baseball player type of look, okay? And then when you come back down into the golf ball, you're going to rotate back the other way, right? Your forearms rotate back the other way, and then right through impact, you point the club, right, at the ball or just inside the golf ball. So inside the golf ball is where you're going to kind of point your hands down to, okay? That's going to keep you from doing a couple things. It's going to keep you from shanking it, and it's going to keep you from digging, and it's going to keep you from, most likely blading it as well. You just got to make sure you keep your head with it, keep your body with it, and all that kind of stuff. Everybody kind of pops up normally when they're hitting pitch shots because they're nervous about it. I need you to kind of stay with it, keep your head at the same level, those types of things, and also things we'll talk about in other lessons. This is about how your hands work. So from here, I've done other pitching lessons where I tell you to go back here, and then you want to drop your shoulder, and then we want to swing through all the way over our left leg. Still, with these pitch shots, we want our weight over on our left leg, okay? The majority of it, I'd say 70% would be a nice number, 70-30, okay? And we're going to make sure that the ball is kind of off of our left heel here, okay? We're gonna set the club down the way the club is designed. We're not gonna do this kind of business or this kind of business or anything like that. We're gonna set it right in the middle the way it's designed. I want you to take it back just like we talked about. You're basically just kind of allowing this wrist and this forearm to rotate this way, okay? And then from here, I want you to point the club just inside the golf ball as you're turning to the left, over your left haunch or your left leg. Okay, well, I'll call this a post. I like looking at both of our legs as separate posts. Your full swing is mostly done over your right post. Your short swing is mostly done over your left post. And I'll get more into that in another lesson. But from right now, I want you to think about how you come down into the golf ball. We're going to rotate this open. My forearm rotates it open, okay? And then I point the club inside the golf ball as I'm going to impact, and I rotate over to my left as I'm doing that. So I point the club right through the golf ball. That's going to create that a situation where your club is going to get level with the ground again, the way it's supposed to. Because when you pull it up this way, okay, if you kept swinging through that way, you'd be swinging above it, okay? So you need to point it back down right at the golf ball so that the club will bounce off the ground the way it's supposed to, and the club will then compress the golf ball and go forward. I guarantee you that when you learn this technique, that your pitches will all become much more solid and much more clean, and you'll be much more consistent. That gives you options. So you can putt it, you can putt it with a 6-iron if you want, you can putt it with a hybrid, you can putt it with your putter, but you can also now use your lob wedge, your pitching wedge, your sand wedge, whatever you want, and you use this technique, and that ball's going up, and it's going to be just fine, okay? If you want the ball to go higher, you open the face just a little bit, set it in the middle again, you still point the club, and the ball will go higher. No different, okay? This is also a good stroke saver. Now, for more information and to get more on what we teach here at X Golf, call X Golf Chesapeake and ask for Carey Hodsden PGA, and I will take care of you. Hit them long and straight, and I'll see you soon.